Hi, everyone, and welcome again to the best year of your life. My name is April Seifert, and I am here with Trudy Goodman and Jack Kornfield. To give a little background, Trudy is the founder of Insight LA in Los Angeles and co-founder of the Institute for Meditation and Psychotherapy. She's taught at universities and retreat centers worldwide for over 40 years. She's known for her role as the voice of Trudy, the love barbarian in the Netflix series Midnight Gospel. Trudy is a contributing author of several books, including Clinical Handbook of Mindfulness, Compassion and Wisdom in Psychotherapy, and Mindfulness in Psychotherapy. Jack holds a doctorate in clinical psychology, has trained as a Buddhist monk in monasteries in Thailand, India, and Burma, and is a founding teacher of the Insight Meditation Society in Barre, Massachusetts, and Spirit Rock Center in California. He's taught meditation internationally since 1974 and has written 14 books, including A Path with Heart, A Lamp in the Darkness, After the Ecstasy, The Laundry, The Wise Heart, and No Time Like the Present, Finding Freedom, Love, and Joy Right Where You Are. I am absolutely thrilled to be speaking with the two of you today. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, April.
You know, we have you here on the exact perfect day. We're talking about spirituality and consciousness today in the summit. And I don't know if there is another time, I mean, certainly in my lifetime, when I've seen such an upsurge in interest in spirituality. The pandemic has certainly got us thinking about these topics more broadly and in different ways. What have you noticed since the pandemic began and how people have started to approach this area of their lives?
What I noticed in the beginning, I got a lot of calls from everything from CEOs and nonprofits and the big political campaigns. You can imagine which one would call me, but nevertheless. And there was a kind of desperation at first, being in such turmoil and things being locked down from the virus. And then it shifted after a time to what the poets call lives of quiet desperation, which means that we did our human thing of accommodate to it. Now we're all right. So this is the new thing we have to deal with. But what I noticed is two sides. One, as many have noted, people actually got quieter in their lives and simpler. And part of that was actually very good. And then we have to deal with the reality of impermanence and uncertainty. That this is my teacher, Ajahn Chah. We would ask him different kind of questions, and he would look and he'd say, "It's uncertain, isn't it?" And he wanted us to realize that we could be where we are. It's never certain. You could go out tomorrow, and anything could happen. And somehow, at first, people became really anxious. There's still some of that, but I think we're actually learning how to live together and realize that we have to be more where we are because it is so uncertain. So there's all these different elements at play, some that have made it more difficult. People have cabin fever and they really want to get out, but then also they're tending their gardens, and they're learning to bake bread and all of those things. So it's almost that it's been an amplifier in both ways. And as you say, for many, it's brought people back to realize how important it is to have a skill of meditation or attention.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because exactly as you said, the notion of impermanence is something that's always there. Certainty is never the case, but we spend a lot of our lives pretending that that's not the case and sort of averting our eyes and not paying attention to it. And here, all of a sudden, we found ourselves in a position where that became impossible to do. And we all had to acknowledge what was always there.
It also makes things more precious when you haven't seen your grandchildren or your beloved family members or somebody for a year or two, and then you have that opportunity to see them. It's like, oh, this really is beautiful, really matters.
Mm-hmm. Another thing that I noticed is that people really, it's as though everybody was forced into retreat. And, nobody really chose to go into retreat, especially many of the people who were living alone had that experience where, because our usual outlets of the things that we love to do outside of the home were either closed or more risky to take part in. um, people were forced into being with themselves in a new way. And it brought up a lot of feelings, like we say to children, a lot of big feelings. And that, I think, is one of the other reasons that people were flocking to try and see how do I work with all this reactivity and all these emotions, and how can I live in this situation the best I can, given that here I am. So that was another piece of it.
It's such an important one to bring up because it's another aspect of when you think about the work that the two of you do around, especially mindfulness. When you have an intentional practice of mindfulness, you intentionally and as part of the practice put yourself in close context with that reactivity and with the chatter that all of us like to sort of avoid in our minds. But we repeatedly put ourselves there when we practice some of the things that the both of you have, shared with the world in your work. It's funny that we all found ourselves there, as you mentioned, on retreat.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of courage to put yourself there intentionally. And I think that's why sometimes mindfulness gets a bad rap, because people say, oh, it made me feel worse. Well, it's like psychotherapy. You can feel worse when you start therapy too, because why? You're actually bringing attention to the things that you've been, as you said, April, averting your gaze from because they were difficult things or painful things. And now suddenly, okay, how do I be with this? I don't really have my usual escape outlets. And that's where I feel like this question of intention, given that here we are, how can we be with this in the best possible way? And that's where you mentioned intention. That's something that is so important. It's really everything actually depends on what our intention is. How the intention to have the best year of your life really depends on your intention to have the best moment of your life right now. And then moment, it'll become a year.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've touched on it a bit, the teachings that the two of you do around mindfulness and compassion, and how, as you mentioned, Trudy, it can be difficult in the beginning, but there is there's value as you move through that difficulty, as you deepen your practice in both of these cases. Can you talk a little bit about the value of mindfulness, of meditation, of compassion, of the core teachings that the two of you have spent so much time sharing with the world? If a person decided to commit and they went into the practice, what do they have to look forward to? How would it enrich their lives?
On 4th Street in Louisville, Kentucky, is the only public monument that I know in the U.S. to a mystical experience. When Thomas Merton, the great Christian mystic, left his monastery where he was doing all his prayers and meditations, and he was walking down the street and he said, suddenly I saw the secret beauty of everyone I passed. I looked in their eyes and I saw them all shining with the light of their original innocence, their original goodness. He said it was like looking into the sun. The big problem is I wanted to fall down on the sidewalk and worship each person as they walk by. And we've all had those experiences where the sense of the preciousness and the sacred of life comes, or when we look through the eyes of love, and with all the messiness of life. And then we say, well, how do we get that? How do we keep a sense of the sacred or of love alive? And one of the gifts of meditation is that it actually gives practice and tools to be able to do that, to find that consciousness like that Thomas Merton found, not in his monastery, but because he was present in that special way. And we know it also because when we walk in the high mountains or make love or listen to an amazing piece of music or those kind of things, they touch us and we go, oh yeah, now I remember.
Yeah, I love it. I have the two of you here, and I would be missing out on an opportunity if I didn't pick on both of you to get us started on a practice. If folks are coming here with a variety of backgrounds, there may be some in this audience who have a deep mindfulness or meditation practice. There may be others who came to this summit where they're very new to this space and are maybe willing and ready to begin. I'm wondering, Jack, if you would lead us through a practice that could help us experience that, just what it's like to have a mindfulness practice and kind of get us started on that track.
Happy to do it. First, I would just want to talk about what that means, what a practice of this kind is, because like anything, meditation, people talk about what is meditation as if it's one thing. It's like talking about sport and forgetting that there's badminton and extreme skiing and football. They're all different. And in the kind of mindfulness meditation, which I would like to use Ram Dass's phrase, mindful loving awareness, instead of trying to create a particular state, oh, I breathe this way, or I recite a beautiful mantra, or I try to make calm or steady a state of mind, with loving awareness, we become the loving witness of our humanity, of our human experience. And with that, there comes a graciousness, a kindness and ease, a spaciousness for the 10,000 joys and the 10,000 sorrows. So instead of trying to make something, we actually become present for the ocean of tears and the unbearable beauty that make up our human experience. And we find a way to sit in presence with it. And then when other things happen, we have that resource of being the loving witness of it all, the loving awareness. So to practice together, I invite those who are listening, especially if you're not driving, you might consider closing your eyes, but or not, it's fine, or lowering them. And first, just take 2 or 3 long breaths and let yourself exhale slowly and let go of whatever wants to be let go of. This meditation is very simple, and it doesn't ask you to be anything other than what you are, where you are. Now, as you quiet down, bring your attention to the life breath of your body and simply notice how the breath breathes itself. Feel it in the nostrils or the chest or the belly. And you don't have to do anything. You can be the mindful, loving awareness that lets the breath breathe. And you are simply there knowing it, like the waves of the ocean coming and going. Relax as you do so. And as you do, you notice that you can be the loving awareness that simply acknowledges the coming and going of experience. And maybe say thank you inwardly to your breath. Thank you for breathing, taking care of me, giving me the life breath. And relax. Now, open the loving awareness to the whole field of your body. Listening, sensing. It's an energy field with pleasure, tightness, warmth, cool, pain. And now you're listening, feeling your body. Notice what your body wants your attention to be aware of. And if your body had a message for you today about how to guide your life this year ahead, what would its message be? You can know. Hold it all with loving awareness and compassion, all your body carries for you. And say thank you. Thank you for carrying so much. I'm okay just now. And bring the same mindful, loving awareness to your heart, which carries so many emotions: longing, love, fear, excitement, sadness, tears, anger, forgiveness, confusion, hope. Feel all that your heart has been carrying, especially this last year. And you are the loving witness, the loving awareness. What does your heart most want from you as you go into the new year? You can know. Listen. And hold all of that your heart carries with tenderness and compassion. Say thank you, dear heart, for carrying so much. Thank you for carrying all these feelings, keeping me going. Thank you. I'm okay just now. And as the loving witness, the loving awareness, you're tending and holding your heart and listening to it. And go to your mind. That very busy activity, often experienced in your head especially. Thoughts, streams, images, words, plans, memories, figuring it out. Feel the busyness of the mind and the creativity. Fantastic. And feeling all the mental energy, the stream of images, words, plans. Hold it with compassion and kindness. It's doing the best it can to keep you safe. And without judgment, but with real appreciation and a tender compassion, say thank you. Thank you for trying to keep me safe, thinking about all these things. I'm okay just now. You can relax. You can take a rest. And feel the graciousness of thank you. I'm okay. And finally, imagine that the most enlightened and beloved spirit or being could place in your lap, in your hands, a gift for this year ahead. That would be a clear symbol of just what you need to live with this loving awareness, to live beautifully. Look down, open the package of this gift. Imagine, picture, sense. If it's not clear, hold it up to the light. And with it comes a message. Just the words your heart and mind need to hear to guide you amidst the moon and the flowers and the oceans and the winds, to guide you beautifully along the way. And taking whatever you've learned, feeling the stillness and becoming the loving awareness that you are, let your eyes open. And then you can see that meditation in this form is not creating a state or looking for something. It's a deep and loving awareness and a listening.
That was lovely. And it's a great example of both the simplicity of a practice like that it isn't complicated, that it doesn't have to involve the perfect place and the perfect setting, that you can really do this anywhere and at any moment in your life. But also the power that can come from it in some of the insight and awareness that you can find when you ask yourself those deep questions that you asked.
Yes, beautiful. Thank you.
So good. Before we did this practice, we had just a brief conversation about intention. And Trudy, you mentioned how important intention can be, and that can be a very broad statement, both in terms of the intention to start a practice like the one that we just experienced, and also just intention more broadly in our lives. Can you talk a little bit about the power of intention, or the importance of it in our lives, especially as things get complex and we're dealing with, or maybe not even dealing with, but we're confronting the uncertainty that we experience in life, how intention can help us?
Yeah. As Jack was talking, leading us through the guided meditation, he was talking about this field, this energetic field that we participate in. Sometimes we hear from the physicists and everything's energy, or from the spiritual teachers, life is all a dream. So the intention is to make it a good dream, to make it a field of positive energy. And the intention, so often we're just reacting to things, taking things for granted, not being very conscious in our everyday lives. It's just how it is. But so the forming of intention is really a way to ground and bring some stability and offer some respect and care for each moment of our lives, that we can remember what our intention is. And it's going to be different for each one of us. For some people, it might be not to be so caught in their reactivity. For some people, it might be to reconnect with somebody they've had some difficulty or estrangement from. I mean, the intentions can be as varied as each one of our lives. But I feel that it's just important to have this sense of direction amidst all the uncertainty and all the variants and variables that are around us in this life, to have, how do we ground ourselves? How do we have some sense of that which is stable and reliable? And for me, one of the ways to do that is to come back to my heart's intention, and that I can be certain of and I can trust. And it's just something that I can come back to, because I feel like when we all of us want to free our hearts from fear and worries and confusion and all the things that make us unhappy. And so to have the intention, we can all say, well, I want to be happy in this life, but how? How do I do that? How do I get to be like that? So for me, this is a way, it's a mindfulness practice. To have an intention, to have a loving intention is also a self-compassion and compassion for the world practice, because each one of us, as we generate this, this kind of field of goodness around us, or this field of positive intention around us, that's contagious. Just like the virus is contagious. We feel either uplifted or pulled down. If we're with somebody who's sad or in pain, we feel that. When we're with somebody who's full of joy and optimism and gives us reasons for hope and courage, we feel that. So I feel like it's for ourselves personally to help us find our way through this time, but it's also kind of like a community service to others, to all those who are around us, to see if we can move from and return to some positive intentions in our lives. Mm-hmm. And I think we do create a field of goodness, and that each one of us, as we practice, whatever your practices might be, whether it's yoga or a mindfulness practice or the ways that you do the things you love, we're all kind of regenerating and participating and strengthening that field of goodness. And it may be invisible, but I think it's very real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting because you're mentioning intention is something that we can come back to. It's the source of stability. And it makes me think about, some of the things that we talk about in psychology quite often is what falls inside your circle of control and what's outside of it. And there is so much that's outside of it, yet we spend so much of our energy, and so much suffering and strife comes from focusing on that stuff that's outside of that circle in an attempt to grasp onto it and control it and mold it to what we want. But what you just mentioned is squarely in the center of that circle, yet we neglect the thing that we can probably control and hold on to the most stably.
And I do think it's a mystical, it's just something that I actually experience in certain ways and trust. I do think that's the more we tend and respect and care for that center of the circle, which is our own hearts. I do believe this affects and has a positive influence on our world.
Yeah.
Because everything we do is going to express that.
Yeah. Yeah. Jack, one of the, part of what the practice that you led us through required us to do is to tune into our bodies to some extent. And it's interesting because one of the biggest lessons I've learned in the last year or so, having nothing to do with the pandemic and everything to do with just some transition in my own life, is the wisdom that can come from listening to our bodies. We tend to, and I think there's a lot of folks out there who are very achievement oriented, type A, I'm just going to point at myself, people out there who strive. And we spend a lot of time in our head focusing on the how to get things done. We don't focus on the wisdom in our body that helps us determine whether we should be doing something or what the direction we actually feel called to go is. I would love, and either of you can respond, but your take on the importance of tuning into our bodies to gather that wisdom and getting out of the chatter in our heads sometimes.
Trudy.
Yeah, I would like to respond by actually offering a practice of how we can tune into our bodies, April, because
I think that would be great.
The body, our bodies, we live in our bodies, and yet, I spent a lot of my adult life in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and I used to feel sometimes we only lived from the neck up. It was cold a lot of the year, and it was very wonderful community of intellectual achievers and achievements. And so how do you drop down, all of us, from just being up in our heads into our bodies and our hearts. And our friend Ram Dass used to always say that for him, the whole spiritual path was about that ability to drop from the head into the heart. So I'd like to, especially I think now, in these times where we're often worried about our bodies, are we well? Are we sick? Are we coming down with COVID? Or, what's going on? To be able to strengthen our immune system by bringing this field of goodness and positive energy into the body, it feels important. And it also, as just a kind of side benefit, it tends to cut through a lot of the judgment that many of us carry about our bodies. We objectify them, we weigh it, we dress it, we bathe it, we measure it, we look in the mirror at it, and it becomes a thing. So how do we shift, take that step back to actually inhabit and feel the aliveness of the body? So I'd like to offer a practice. I'm going to condense it and make it, very, very simple and doable. But I want to ask everybody who's going to try this with me together to just have a little patience, because it might seem so simple at the beginning that you just think, oh, this is like preschool. This isn't, what is this? I felt that when I first learned this practice. And then through doing it, even one time, I could feel the goodness of it. So may that happen for you. So again, I want to encourage you to just sit back, to relax, to close your eyes or lower your gaze, whatever feels most comfortable to you. Take a deep breath and release any tension in the body. And once again. And one more time, breathing in the aliveness of this moment. And breathing out any tension or worry completely. So all you have to do is repeat the phrases that I'm going to offer and use your superpower of being able to direct your attention wherever you want. We're going to bring attention to the whole body, beginning with the head, and offer some warmth of loving kindness to the body through these phrases, which carry that energy of goodness and kindness and love and appreciation. So again, just repeat the phrase silently to yourself, and you can listen to what you're saying and maybe say it in a kind voice. May my head be happy. My scalp, the sides of my head, my ears, the back of my head, my face. May my whole head relax and be happy. And now bring attention to the area of the neck. May my neck relax and be at ease. And now moving attention to the shoulders that often carry so much tension. May my shoulders relax and be happy. Letting them lower a little bit as they relax. And bringing attention now to the arms, the upper arms, the elbows, the forearms, the wrists, the hands. May my arms be happy. May they be strong and at ease. And now bringing attention to the hands, the backs of the hands, the fingers, the knuckles, the space between the fingers, the palms and thumbs. May my hands be happy and at ease. And now shifting attention back to the upper back, feeling the whole back, upper back, middle, thoracic area, and lower back. May my back relax and be at ease. And especially the lower back, again, an area where lots of tension can be held. May my lower back be strong, free from pain, and happy. May my whole spine be happy. And then shifting the attention to the front of the body, to the chest, diaphragm, and belly. May the whole front of my body, my chest, breasts if I have them, diaphragm, belly, lower abdomen, may the whole front of my body relax and be happy. Now, attention to the hips. May my hips be happy, free from judgment about how they are, what they look like. May my hips relax and be happy. And bringing that same kind of attention to the buttocks, to where you sit. May my whole bottom relax and be happy. Including the genitals. May my genitals be happy and at peace. And moving the attention down through the thighs. May my thighs, femurs, muscles, skin, may my thighs too be free from judgment, be strong and happy. My knees, this complex joint of the knees, may my knees be well and happy. And my lower legs and ankles, calves, shins, may you be strong and happy. And last but not least, my feet that take me wherever I need to go. May my feet be happy. The toes, the soles of the feet, the heels, the tops of the feet. May my feet relax and be at ease. May my whole body, just bringing attention from the toes back up to the head, from the head back down to the toes, my whole body, this field of aliveness and the goodness of being alive. May my whole body be happy. May my body be well, relaxed, and at ease. And may this field of goodness and aliveness that I call my body extend out past the boundaries of my body to all beings everywhere without exception. May all beings be well. May all beings be safe and happy and live with ease. So thank you. You can open your eyes. Thank you, everybody, for doing this grounding practice that can help us find goodness and stability and strength, no matter what.
That was so nice. And it made me think, Trudy, as you were talking about, what we were about to do, and the fact that we sort of look at our bodies as objects. The amount of, you said the words without judgment so many times, and the amount of judgment we put on our bodies, on specific parts of our bodies, to be a very specific way. And if you think about what it would take, whatever that part of your body is that you judge the most harshly, what it would take for that part of your body to be happy and to feel not judged, there's some interesting work to think about there to truly get to that place. That was wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. Takes a little practice, but it doesn't take as much as you might think. It has, these practices have their own magic to them. And that doesn't mean that, we don't encounter obstacles and the work that you refer to, April, but we have this lingo, we call it the suffering that leads to the end of suffering. The work that we need to do to make, to manifest this field of goodness in our lives and really feel it in the body. This is the work that really does lead to the end of that suffering of self-judgment and wishing to be different, more, better somehow than we are.
Amazing. As we look ahead, people have come to the summit to make this the best year of their life. What wisdom, inspiration, tips do you have for them as they're doing the work that they've come here to do this week, as we send people on their way from this very valuable session?
One is to find a practice that touches them, whatever it happens to be, and do it, a meditative practice, and just quiet, listening, loving kindness practice. They can find, there are so many beautiful meditations, but some way where each person can pay attention and say, how do I quiet my heart? How do I tend my body? How do I listen? And then, as Trudy talked about intention, one of the most beautiful things you can do when you get in conflict or things are difficult is just take a few breaths and ask, what's my best intention? What's my highest intention? And there you are in a conflict, a conversation, or you're texting somebody or something's going wrong. And you just take a few breaths and quiet and listen to your heart and say, what is my best intention here. And the whole state of consciousness can change in that way. So it only takes a moment, it turns out, to unhook from when we get lost and become that loving, mindful, loving awareness, that loving witness, that loving kindness. And that becomes a go-to practice again and again. And as far as meditation, they say the only bad meditation is the one you don't do.
Right.
Right. So, yeah, you sit, and sometimes you sit with tears and you're sad, or you're upset or angry or frightened, all those. And you hold those with compassion, the way Trudy just taught us to hold every part of our body. And you see the judging mind. The Florida Scott Maxwell, the author, said, no matter how old a mother gets, she looks to her middle-aged children for signs of improvement, right? And we internalize that as trying to make our bodies and minds better. And in some way, you can even acknowledge the good, the good in that judgment, and say, thank you for trying to make me better. I'm actually fine. I'm okay just as I am. Thank you for trying to protect me. I'm good now. Thank you. And you get to that spirit of seeing things from the place of gratitude and appreciation. And that's really what will serve the year ahead.
Yeah, and I would just add to that the simplicity of these practices of being with the breath, being with the body, noticing the negativities and the thoughts that are rising in the mind, just the willingness to notice them and come back to the intention to be steady and present and connected to yourself, connected to the ground of your life, moment to moment. Those moments become the year of your life, and making those moments the best you can doesn't mean trying to paste a smiley face on the hard ones, the tough ones, the sad ones. It means learning how to stand on that ground of your body, of your breath, of your own being. You're standing next to all of that instead of just being lost inside it and caught in it. And that's really important. And I think too, along with trusting one's intention, the more we practice, really coming back to the intention for whatever contributes to this field of goodness, it makes it easier for me, at least, to be with the moments when maybe the impact of something I've done isn't so great. Even though my intention was great, the impact wasn't so great. But I can then come and support whatever it was that went wrong, whatever I may have said or done that landed wrong or hurt somebody, with a kind of confidence that doesn't sort of shatter into feeling guilty or panicked or worried or things like that. I can just be with whatever comes up for them. So I think for making it the best, the very best year of your life, just try to pay attention to how it is for you, moment, as best you can. None of us is mindful 24/7. But again, the intention, I know, except you, of course,
no,
my
I was
dear.
thinking of you, my dear.
And except, really coming back to again and again, what is most important, what am I trying to do here? What, as a friend of ours, what is love asking of me in this moment? And to me, that's how to live the best moment, the best day, the best year of your life.
So good. This has been such a valuable, meaningful session. I'm so appreciative to the two of you for taking time for sharing practices that the audience listening to this can come back to when they need to reground, when they need to develop more compassion and kindness for themselves, tap into the wisdom of their bodies. So I appreciate you two so much. Where can people find you? Where can they learn more about you and connect with you online?
I teach every Sunday morning at Insight LA. They can always go on the website and look for practice groups and find me Me or one of my colleagues on Sunday mornings. If I'm teaching elsewhere, somebody else will be teaching. So that's at insightla.org. I also have about to be redone website at trudygoodman.com. Those are two places you can find me.
Perfect. And for me, before I say that, I want to add that the other piece that makes a year go well is community. That these practices and that which nourishes us are the goodness that you've been speaking of, Trudy. We actually can't do it alone. We need good friends. We need others to encourage us when we get lost. And that is so look for community, even if it's to have a gratitude partner that once a day you text to this person that you care about and say, here are 2 things or 3 things I'm grateful for today. And they text back. It will change everything to have somebody you're connected with or community. So people can find the things that I do at jackkornfield.com, also through Spirit Rock, where I teach still periodically. I do a monthly Monday class and other things. And in addition, at soundstrue.com, I have, together with another teacher, Tara Brock, a really wonderful training for people who want to become teachers of mindfulness and compassion. And we have people in 75 countries around the world doing this training and learning how to offer it in their schools or clinics or communities or business. So if that's of value and interest, you could look for that. Have a blessed year ahead to everybody. You know, it's such an adventure, and we get to do it together, and now we get to do it with heart.
And I really want to encourage people to not just look for me, but at insightla.org. There's so many classes and so many wonderful teachers that I've mentored, and it's a community, and you can come join us.
Incredible. Thank you both so much. You both have been pillars in these communities, and it has been just an honor to get to sit with you for some time today. And I'm just so appreciative that you have been willing to hang out with this audience and teach us so much today. Thank you.
Thank you, April.
Thank you, April.
Thank you so much.